Really have to break down, gear down into second gear, flat track. They slow down, go around, tires on the outside if they don't make it. Many of them will try to cut it close there and then head for the start-finish line, starting all over again.
That's a trip around Sears Point International Raceway, and here now is the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole is Rusty Wallace of the number 27 Kodiak Pontiac, qualifying at 90.041 miles an hour. Then comes Mark Martin in car number 6, the Stroll Light Ford. He's from Batesville, Arkansas. In row number 2, it's Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia. His best start since Daytona in the number 9 Coors Ford. Outside of that second row will be the number 26 car, driven by Ricky Rudd from Chesapeake, Virginia, the Quaker State Buick. In row number 3 for today's race is Ken Schrader from Fenton, Missouri, driving the Folger Chevrolet. The car number is 25. To the outside of row number 3 will be his teammate, Darrell Waltrip from Franklin, Tennessee, the current Winston Cup points leader in the number 17 Tide Exxon Chevrolet. In row number 4, it's Alan Kowicki from Greenfield, Wisconsin, driving the number 7 Xerox Ford. Starting outside of row number 4 in 8th position is the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, car number 5, driven by Chemung, New York's Jeff Bodine. Going to row number 5 now, it's Morgan Shepherd and Dale Earnhardt. Row number 6, Australian Dick Johnson, car 38, and Joe Ruttman in the Buddy Baker car 88. In the 7th row, the starters will be Harry Gant in car number 33 and Jim Bound in number 41. In the 8th row, Davey Allison in 28 and Rick Wilson in car number 4. Going to row number 9, it's Sterling Marlin in 94 and Neil Bonnet in 21. The 10th row, Bobby Hillen in 8 and Brett Bodine in 15. In the 11th row will be Dick Trickle and Larry Pearson. The 12th row, Phil Parsons and Terry Fisher. In the 13th row, it's Bill Cooper, one of the driving instructors here at the Bob Bondurant School. Look for him to do well. Lake Speed outside row 13. 14th row is Terry Labonte and Michael Waltrip, both of those second-day qualifiers. In the 15th row, it's Ernie Irvin in car number 2 and Darren Brasfield in number 40. Herschel McGriff, the 62-year-old veteran, starts inside row 16, and Troy Beebe in 93 will start outside that row. He participated yesterday, both of these pilots did, as a matter of fact, in the Southwest Tour event. In the 17th row will be Dale Jarrett in car 29 and Hut Strickland in 57. Dave Marcus and Bill Schmidt start in row number 18. In the 19th row, for Winston, another Winston West competitor, Roy Smith in 79 and Richard Petty in 43. Ron Esau and Rick McRae start in row number 20. And into row 21, the provisionals, Eddie Bierschwale in car number 23 and John Krebs in number 99. 3 in-car cameras for you today, including the Darrell Waltrip car. As we ride the course with him during a warm-up, you can see Ken Schrader there on his right, and there is the camera that we have hanging out the right side of the car, and that should provide some interesting shots for us as Alan Kowicki sneaks up on his right side. And we have also an in-car camera starting with the Alan Kowicki machine, the Xerox Ford. The cars are now entering turn number 11. And there is the way that Alan is looking at all this, as we're just moments away from the start of this race. And our third in-car camera is being carried by Dick Johnson in car number 38. He has done so well in the qualifying and the practices, we decided to put a camera in his car. This is an Australian driver. And the crew cam is being worn this afternoon by Joey Knuckles, who will be a member of the Jeff Bodine team this afternoon. We will be back with the start of this 300-kilometer race in just a moment. Back at Sears Point International Raceway, and you can see that road course winners have started 12th or higher in all NASCAR road course events. And the last time the Winston Cup drivers were on a road course at Watkins Glen last year, a new record was set for number of cars on the lead lap. 22 were still on the lead lap at the end of the 90-lap race. The cars are moving through now, turn number 7, beginning to work their way up through the S's. You can see that the caution lights above the pace car are out, indicating that this time around we'll be getting a green flag, ready to go 300 kilometers. That's 74 laps, 187 miles.
Jack Arute talked about at the beginning of the show about tape. And what he was talking about, these cars, a lot of them are being held together by tape. There we see Jeff Bodine and Alan Kowicki's car. Both those cars have sustained heavy damage and used a great deal of the tape trying to hold the cars together.
Michael Waltrip actually rolled his car when qualifying on Friday, so they had to use a lot of duct tape to get his car back together. Dale Jarrett had a little skirmish up there with in turn 6, had to use a lot of tape Pontiac, so a lot of the drivers have found it they're going tough here.
Entering turn number 11, where Ned and Benny were at the open of the program, and now the pace car leads them down through this short straightaway. Then turn number 12 as the sun begins to peek out, and a beautiful day on Sears Point International Raceway, and the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 is underway. Uphill into turn number 2, and Ken Schrader goes inside and gets the right side tires off the track, creating a bit of a traffic jam behind him. Everyone else, however, getting through there smoothly. And oh, here's a major traffic jam as several cars have been involved in a crash. The number 19 machine, driven by Bill Cooper, is one of those damaged. He's the driving instructor here and was expected to do very well, but a lot of damage to that car. Lake Speed is also there. Richard Petty moves around, and we'll see if we can determine who else is involved in this crash. 40 is Darren Brassfield.
Herschel McGriff was also involved. There's Troy Beebe and John Krebs, the last car. And it looks like all the cars are moving.
Yeah, it looks like they just stopped there for a little bit and said, okay, everything's clear, let's go on.
I think that the dust was probably a problem, a big problem, because when Schrader got off the course, created up all this, knocked up all the dust, the car just couldn't see. It looks like Terry Labonte and Bill Cooper has the most serious damage.
Yeah, they do have quite a bit of damage to those cars as Rusty Wallace continues to lead and jumping off of the inside part of the racetrack.
That's Mark Martin running in second position, and Ricky Rudd in third as the cars come up through the S's, now heading toward the straightaway, separating turns 10 and 11. Now downshifting and braking hard for corner number 11. Wallace leads them through here. That's Bill Elliott running in 4th spot, and the completion of lap number 1 in the 74-lap race. Rusty Wallace from Benton, Missouri, followed by Martin, then Rudd, then Elliott. Here comes Waltrip, Bodine, and Earnhardt. That's the view from the Darrell Waltrip car. Camera hanging out the right side, looking back.
A couple of cars coming into the pits. Phil Parson in the Crown Skull Oldsmobile is one of those, and Jim Bowen, who had a very good qualifying run, he was involved in that melee on the first lap, so he has some damage to his car.
You can see Earnhardt battling with Bodine on the racetrack, while Phil Parsons visits his pit area as they make a tire change on the right side of the machine. There's Dick Trickle also entering the pits just ahead of Phil Parsons.
Now, one thing, it takes them a long time to go around the track here, more than 1 minute and 40 seconds, so they can change tires and still stay in the lead lap. Here's Terry Labonte with a lot of damage to the right front of the Budweiser Ford.
He is really limping along toward the pit area. He has made his way into the entrance, however, but a lot of sheet metal damage there on the right corner of that car. And Labonte finally gets the car stopped, and Jack Arute is right there.
As you said, Bob Jenkins, extensive body damage on the right front quarter panel. Tim Brewer and the crew are trying to peel it off, much the way you would dead skin, and they're doing it right now and changing tires as well. Labonte is waiting, and now they're having a little bit of a problem getting that one part of the quarter panel undone, and they send him back out almost like one wing broke as he goes down back towards the racetrack.
Yeah, he's got some sheet metal flying in there. Terry Labonte is one of the best road racers there is in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, but he's spun out on Friday in his initial qualifying lap, had to qualify then on Saturday morning, which started him back in 27th position.
And the reason he went out of the pit so quickly is because the pack was coming by with the leaders, and so he wants to stay on the lead lap, and I believe he was going to be able to do that. Here is the lead pack led by Rusty Wallace. The battle for second place involves the number 6 machine of Mark Martin and the 26 car of Ricky Rudd. Besides Darrell Waltrip and Richard Petty, both of those drivers have 5 wins on road courses. Ricky Rudd has 3 career wins on the road courses in 1983 and 85 at Riverside, and in 1988 just last year at Watkins Glen, New York.
When people have been talking all week, who's going to win the inaugural race here at Sears Point, I think Ricky Rudd's name has been mentioned more frequently than anyone else. Car running very, very well this week.
And he is so smooth on a road course, and that is a key factor.
Here comes the rest of the field, however, and Jeff Bodine and Dale Earnhardt are running very close together, while Darrell Waltrip is just ahead of them.
Well, Jeff Bodine started in the 8th position. I believe he's running in 5th position there now, just ahead of Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt had started in the 10th position, so they began to pick up a few spots.
There is is Alan Kowicki following Dale Earnhardt. And there is the view from Alan Kowicki's car. Remember, in the opening of our show, we had an in-car camera working yesterday afternoon when Alan slid off course and hit the tire barrier. But they got the car fixed overnight, and he's currently in 8th position.
And that was the second time that he had went off of the course, turn 6 at the same place. He did it yesterday morning, and then yesterday afternoon had the same encounter.
He's following Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine, who are just ahead as all of them break now and head into turn number 11 once again. There's the number 5 yellow and white car of Bodine sliding high on the track as Dale Earnhardt keeps the low inside line. And yesterday, if you were with us during that Southwest Tour event, you will remember that Ken Peterson showed us that hugging the inside line on turn number 11 is the right place to be, as he was able to pass several cars in that particular area of the track. You can see how the cars get off course just slightly once in a while and kick up some dust, which can cause a very slippery racetrack. There are the top 5 with 3 laps. It's gone, and we'll be back at Sears Point, where the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 Winston Cup race is underway. There goes Rusty Wallace. Here comes Mark Martin in car 6 and Ricky Rudd in car 26. Those are your first 3. Terry Labonte is back in the pits trying to make some repairs to that race car after a early race incident. Jack Arute is down there in that pit. Jack?
As we watch Terry Labonte's work being completed, they are using the air chisel to take that piece of debris, actually that quarter panel that was hung up. Meanwhile, Bill Cooper, who has run so well in the Corvette Challenge earlier today and is a regular on the circuit here at the Bob Bondurant School, he was also involved in the accident. He's been in and out of pit road for major cosmetic surgery as well. Gentlemen?
Thank you, sir. And Ricky Rudd has now gone into 2nd position, passing Mark Martin. So it's Wallace, Rudd, and Martin. And these 3 cars have pretty much broken away from everybody else, although Bill Elliott isn't too far behind in 4th spot.
Ricky Rudd looks like he's making a bit of a charge. He passed Mark Martin. He's able to pull away just a couple of car lengths, but Rusty Wallace and Poles are not going very far. And Rusty Wallace, there's the shot from Alan Kowicki right behind. Looks like Jeff Bodine in front of him.
That is the 8th position as Alan Kowicki is trying to move into 7th and pass Jeff Bodine. Dale Earnhardt is up in 6th position. You can see him, the black car there, moving through the S's.
Not long ago, he was behind Jeff Bodine, but he has passed him and is pulling away from him. So Earnhardt working pretty good here.
Just some great shots as these cars move through this series of S turns.
Very fast part of the racetrack here. And now then, all of a sudden, you've got to stop the car and get it in 2nd gear, because turn 11, the one Ned was in a moment ago, very, very slow corner, the slowest part of the racetrack, right here where Alan Kowicki is.
Then it's hard onto the accelerator, a short straightaway, and then turn number 12, which is right here, and there really isn't much of a corner. It's pretty much flat out. Then you go uphill under the Champion Bridge, upshifting to 3rd, as Alan Kowicki is trying to take that 7th position away from Jeff Bodine. Close competition. You can see that Xerox Ford is right on the back bumper of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet.
You would have thought that Alan would be a little bit more conservative than he is in the early part of the race after having those 2 encounters yesterday, but he's sticking right in there with him.
Ken Schrader follows in the number 25 car. A lot of tape on that Xerox Ford after the 2 incidents that Ned just mentioned.
And this is the spot that we saw at the opening of the show where Alan Kowicki got in the tires. This is called a carousel, a real hard, fast, sweeping left-hander.
Brett Bodine in the pits for an unscheduled pit stop. The hood up on the Motorcraft Ford number 15. He had slowed on the racetrack, and you can see the Bud Moore crew working on the car to see if they can find what the problem is.
Alan Kowicki is just all over Jeff Bodine on the racetrack. And now Ken Schrader has also moved in right up behind Alan Kowicki.
Jeff Bodine, now we've got to give him a little bit of a call, because he has not been on the racetrack since Friday, and he had an encounter with the tires Friday afternoon. They've been repairing on that car for 2 days. So today, when he took the green flag, was his first lap in competition around the Sears Point Raceway since Friday.
Alan Kowicki looking to the inside in corner number 11. Bodine is high. Kowicki is low. Let's see how they come out of this corner. They're going to be side by side. Alan may have the pass here down the straightaway, but no, Jeff Bodine pulls him off as they head for turn number 1.
Thought he had him there for a second, but when you head into that turn one, you're on the wrong side if you're on that outside, and he just couldn't get back in time.
Wiki trying awfully hard to get some kind of position on Bodine in these tight corners. Very little straightaway back at the top of the hill at this course. Downhill now, hard right-hander, and here, Quick on the inside.
Oh, gets squeezed off. Falls back in line. Allen again with a very brave move, but it didn't work. They come out of the carousel into the straightaway.
He is really keeping the pressure on Jeff Bodine, but Jeff has withstood it so far.
Bodine probably isn't as concerned about Alan Kowicki going by, but if Kowicki should go by, then Schrader's going to go by, and then the next car, and that is Dick Johnson. Isn't that Johnson behind?
Yes, it is.
So the Australian right behind these Winston Cup drivers.
See Morgan Shepherd coming into the picture back there, so he's done good. And look at the leaders. Ricky Rudd is closed up on Rusty Wallace.
Battle for the lead here in corner number 11. Wallace at number 27 and Rudd at 26. Rudd may have him. That's exactly the line that Ken Peterson used yesterday, who is the driving instructor and knows this racetrack. That's the line he used to pass many cars, but it didn't work today, at least for Ricky Rudd at the moment.
I think you have to get most of the way past the car if you're going to pass him coming off there, because you're on the outside going into turn one, and that's not the place to be.
So Wallace holds off the challenge of Ricky Rudd at the moment. We are on lap number 7 of the 74-lap race.
Ricky Rudd working awfully well. Hard. This is a very fast right-hander there. This car is probably running 120 miles an hour and over the hill, and all you can see is blue sky, and boom, a sweeping left-hander. And as Ted says, most of these corners are debanked or they fall away from you as you come off the corner.
And you just hope and pray when you get one of those blind corners that there's not a car sitting down there when you land or look down again.
So true. That was John Krebs that the leaders just passed and put a lap on.
Now Mark Martin, it seems, has closed the interval between second and third position, so Mark is hanging right in there in the blue Strollite Ford car number 6. First 3 cars very close together. Running back in 4th position is Bill Elliott. Darrell Waltrip is in 5th. 6th is Dale Earnhardt. 7th is Jeff Bodine. 8th is Alan Kowicki. 9th is Ken Schrader. And 10th is Dick Johnson. 11th position, Morgan Shepherd. 12th is Joe Ruttman. 13th is Sterling Marlin. 14th is Davey Allison. And in 15th position is Rick Wilson. That at the end of 7 circuits.
There are race fans all around this course, Bob. There's many viewing points around this racetrack.
Oh, look at Kowicki. He spins. He just broke too late going into corner number 11, and Kowicki spins around. He'll be able to get it headed back in the right direction. There goes Davey Allison by. But Alan Kowicki's attempt to take over the 6th position, make it the 7th position from Jeff Bodine, fails. And as a matter of fact, Allen drops to 14th.
Boy, it's not been a good week for Kowicki, has it?
Well, let's watch it again. As he comes into turn 11, Bodine going in a little high, and Kowicki tried to get down on the inside and just spins her around. He breaks loose, but he does slide out of the way of the other traffic.
And we understand that Kowicki is still having problems as he has spun again up in the turn 3 area. So it is not a very pleasant experience for Alan Kowicki.
One thing, it's very easy to get frustrated from a situation of that sort when he spun in turn 11 down there, and you want to catch back up. You're mad at yourself for doing it, and then you go into the next turn and something else goes wrong. Maybe you overdrive it, or he could have a tire going down. Here he is going around as he goes into that turn. Spins are completely around. His pit crew is ready for him to come in. Apparently he does have a flat tire.
So we'll be watching for Alan Kowicki to come in. His best road course finish was a 6th at Watkins Glen back in 1987. Meanwhile, it's still Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd fighting for 1st and 2nd position, and Mark Martin also right there in car number 6. The Banquet Frozen Foods 300 from Sears Point International Raceway. Here are the top 10 at the moment as we have now completed 9 of 70. Hardy's Pontiac, car number 29, driven by Dale Jarrett, has has made a pit stop, an unscheduled stop, and now begins to move back out onto the racetrack, but there was a lot of smoke coming from that car.
He's taking it back to the garage area. The damage is too heavy to repair in the garage area, and on pit road he has to go in the garage area.
And he had moved from 33rd position up to 20th. He really was making a pretty good move on the racetrack, but it looks like that bad luck he's been having is staying with him here today.
That is picking up a lot of positions on this racetrack in just 10 laps. Rusty Wallace, car 27, leads this race with Ricky Rudd in car number 26 in second spot. Now that 26 car is owned by Kenny Bernstein, and this marks the 100th Winston Cup start for the Kenny Bernstein Quaker St. Ewing. Alan Kowicki has dropped all the way back now to 16th position. He spun twice in the same lap just a few laps ago. He's trying to battle back up and gain some positions that he lost. Now, we'll go inside the car and replay one of his spins that he had. This is how it looked to Alan Kowicki just a few laps ago. This was the one entering turn number 11.
He's following Jeff Bodine. You can see that he gears down going into the turn, dips down to the inside, and maybe just a little bit too much to the inside. He couldn't get it stopped as he spins around out of the way of the other traffic, and then he spun again on the same lap. We thought he had a flat tire, but he stayed out there, so apparently he didn't have a flat tire.
You know, I believe that he ran in the back of Jeff Bodine going into turn 11 and just had to get on the brakes too hard to try to keep him spinning Jeff Bodine out, and actually spun himself out.
Well, Jerry Punch is down in the Alan Kowicki pit. Maybe he can answer this question about the flat tire, Jerry.
I believe that's what they thought he might have had, was a flat tire. We're with Paul Andrews, the crew chief. And Paul, did he have any indication as to what the problem might have been?
Well, we believe it was, Alan thought he had a flat tire right at the beginning. We think he's okay right now. He seems to be picked up his pace a little bit better now. We're just going to keep going out there, and we don't want to pit. We don't want to get down that far back in the pack, so we're going to try to ride it out a little bit.
You were concerned about the motor this morning. It was locked up when you tried to crank it, cylinder full of gas. Is that running okay, apparently?
Yeah, the motor seems to be performing real well right now, so that seems to be all right. We'll see what happens at the end of the race.
Paul Andrews, crew chief for Alan Kowicki.
All right, Jerry, and we have a new leader in this race as Ricky Rudd in car number 26 was able to take away the lead from Rusty Wallace in turn number 11 just a few seconds ago. Mark Martin now is right up on the back bumper of Rusty Wallace, and here is how the pass occurred. We'll replay what happened just about a half lap ago.
Going in turn 11 again, just out brakes. Rusty Wallace goes on the inside, and we'll see the tires smoking. Ricky Rudd drove the car in awfully hard, used the brakes up, was able to get by Rusty Wallace.
So now the second leader of the race becomes Ricky Rudd, and Rusty Wallace drops back to second with Mark Martin still right there in third spot.
Bill Elliott has gone completely out of the picture now. He's running in fourth place. Here he comes in the red car. You can see how far behind he is.
And there is Darrell Waltrip, who had a lot of smoke pouring from that car as he came by us here, located behind the pits, and the car still appears to be smoking just a little bit, so that car probably not up to full song.
Well, it looks like he's running good, Bob, but certainly there is smoke coming from him. There was a lot coming from him as he came by our position here not too long ago, so we'll see if he has to go into the pits. We're inside his car right now as he gears down to go into one of the turns. Here's puts her down in second place. That's up in turn 7. Heads it up the hill. Well, that wasn't turn 7. That was turn 11.
And Jerry Punch is in the Darrell Waltrip pit. Jerry?
They're concerned here about a rear-end problem, possibly on the Tide Chevrolet. They think it may have a seal leaking or something in the rear end. That's where the smoke is coming from. They were thinking about bringing him down pit road and possibly checking it or maybe considering trying to fix it in the pits, but they want to run as many laps as possible until it gets bad enough to have to come in. Maybe they can catch a yellow flag, but it's early problems here for Darrell Waltrip.
So the current Winston Cup points leader is struggling with his car at the moment, and one would think that perhaps the point standings are going to change drastically after this race because, as we indicated, some of those who are traditionally good on road courses can really make up some ground here as the leader, Ricky Rudd, approaches the slower car of Darren Brassfield at number 40.
You talked just a moment ago about the points changing, and folks, the points at Sears Point Raceway pays the same as it does in the Daytona 500.
Doesn't make any difference how many miles it is, they pay the same thing.
There we see Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin. Mark having a great run this afternoon. Did qualify on the outside pole. Rusty Wallace on the pole. But Ricky Rudd, who qualified in third spot, has motored away from these two.
Rusty Wallace started the race from the pole position, but now finds himself in second. And we asked Rusty, what is the most important key to winning here at Sears Point International Raceway?
Typical road race stuff, you know, brakes and transmissions are always the most important things. Not over-revving an engine too much is an important thing. So I think that I'd say brakes and staying on course is a big deal. But believe it or not, the brakes really aren't any harder here than they are Riverside or Watkins Glen. We thought it was going to be hard, but I don't think it's going to be hard.
So he says that brakes aren't as important, any more important than they are at some of the other road courses. Now, Darrell Waltrip has come into the pit area. Jerry Punch reports.
Apparently the smoke got even worse a couple of laps ago, so NASCAR has made him come down pit road and check it out. Jeff Hammond and the crew changing right side tires and looking in the trunk. They were concerned maybe they didn't overfill the fuel tank. Waltrip pulling out as Schrader pulls in. Waltrip having to get on the binders. Kenny Schrader in for an unscheduled stop. Waltrip's car is down and away.
So there's still a little bit of smoke coming from that tied machine, car number 17, as Darrell takes it back onto the racetrack.
I would imagine Darrell Waltrip made a pit stop for those guys to try to find out what's wrong with the car. And then if there should be a caution flag, a full course yellow, then they would try to work on the car to see if they could repair it. I just think that was a pit stop to find out what's wrong with the car, because they don't know right now. And there we see Ricky Rudd, once again, a few more car lengths than last lap. The last time we saw him, Rusty Wallace was just about 15 car lengths behind. Now he's 25 car lengths behind. Ricky Rudd going away.
Ken Schrader in car number 25 is also into the pits, and Jack Arute is right there.
Well, they made a 4-tire change, and then they decided to throw it back into gear, and it wouldn't go back into gear. So Schrader is resting here without any go power, and they've cut the engine off, and now they're going to have to check at it, and they'll probably push it back into the garage area. Most likely the transmission's gone bad, gentlemen.
2 of the 3 Rick Hendrick cars are experiencing problems here in the first 13 laps of this 74-lap encounter at Sears Point International Raceway. There is second position, Rusty Wallace, being followed by Mark Martin. The green number 26 car of Ricky Rudd is in the lead.
Bill Elliott running for it. Dale Earnhardt now 5th. Jeff Bodine is in the 6th position. And running 7th is the Australian, Dick Johnson, having a very good run here.
Now, I thought maybe that Mark Martin was going to make a move. There is Dick Johnson, the Australian driver who really has been impressive this weekend. You can see him downshifting and turning to the right. Look at that small steering wheel that he's using.
I went by and talked to him yesterday just to find out a little bit about him, and he said, the steering wheel on these cars is like a bloody London bus. So I guess he found him a small steering wheel. Attaboy, Dick.
Well, he's shown some great promise, at least in this event, as Dick Johnson at the moment finds himself in 7th position.
Going in the carousel, and the left-hander, this is turn 6 after Sears Point Raceway.
There's the battle for second, Wallace and Mark Martin. As we're 14 laps now into this 74-lap race, the Banquet Frozen Foods 300-kilometer at the first appearance ever for the Winston Cup Series at Sears Point International Raceway. Benny Parsons, Jerry Punch, and Jack Arute back at Sears Point International Raceway, where in position as Mark Martin has gotten around Rusty Wallace. It occurred up in turn number 2 just a lap ago, and here's how it occurred.
That's up in turn 7, but anyway.
Okay.
That's Mark Martin on the inside of Wallace, just takes his spot away. Now watch Rusty try to come back, folks. Kicks the car sideways, but when he got it sideways, he lost some of his forward bite and not able to get up alongside Martin.
So Wallace now has dropped to 3rd position. Let's go to Jack Arute, who's with Ken Schrader.
Well, as we suspected, Ken Schrader has lost the transmission, so they're going to make an exchange here back in the garage area. And Schrader is actually doing some of the work inside the car, taking off the shift lever. Kenny, we know the transmission's gone bad, but what about track conditions?
All tracks just getting a little slick, Jackie, but it's the same for everybody. You know, the guys are doing a good job of staying on the track, so I'm surprised we went this long without a yellow.
That's very surprising. Are the guys just really holding back a little bit, or do you think maybe they've gained some racing maturity over the last couple of days?
Well, I think everybody got spooked enough of it in practice that they're watching what they're doing, but they've also got to figure it out and they can run it more aggressive now.
Well, we're going to let him get back to work because they want to exchange this transmission as quickly as they can, Bob.
A lot of work down there in the Ken Schrader car to try to change that transmission. Another battle for second position, and Rusty has the spot back.
Mark Martin, he's off the pace. He's coming in the pits.
So Mark Martin, second place competitor, enters pit road now as Rusty Wallace takes over the second spot. Here's Martin moving in. Jack Roush led Stroh's Light pit crew ready to go. Steve Neal, the crew chief. Here's Jerry Punch.
Steve Neal, Robin Pemberton, and the crew go to work on the right side of the car. It will be a 4-tire change for Mark Martin. A tire change under green. A little bit unexpected here this early in the event. And they have the right side tires. One can of fuel going in. It's being tossed back across the wall. A lot of spillage in the second can of fuel. The tank is full, and we'll come around to the left side now. Jackie Moniz, the left side of the car. Left front tire on. Robin Pemberton, left rear tire on. Ready to pull it down off the jack. They have a trouble with the left rear lug. Cost him a couple extra seconds. He's down and away. Mark Martin, unscheduled stop, and he's gone.
So the guy that was formerly in second position loses many, many spots, but he's back out there.
And he would stay on the lead lap, even though he changed 4 tires. It takes them, they're running around this track now at about 1 minute and 45 seconds. So it does give them plenty of time to change those tires and stay in the lead lap. But of course, they would hope for a caution to be able to catch back up.
I just wonder if he had a problem or why that, or if he just, that was calculated. They were going to make that pit stop early. It's very strange that he would make a pit stop and none of the other cars come in. As we watch Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick, again, leading this race and seemingly at ease.
And we understand that maybe he's planning to come in the next couple of laps. His pits are directly in front of our broadcast booth here, and we do see that they have the tires up on the wall and are ready for him to come in. So we'll wait and see. Maybe they are going to make pit stops earlier, Vinny, than we anticipated.
Gasoline mask, certainly he has his helmet on, and as warm as it is, it has warmed up immensely since the sun came out. He has his helmet on.
Rusty Wallace coming into the pits right now. And here's Richard Petty in the SCP Pontiac. So they're coming in a little earlier than we thought.
And here comes Rusty as he motors down pit road and stops in his assigned area.
Bill Elliott goes by.
Jack Arute is there in the Wallace pit.
Rusty Wallace's crew going to work. They are going to change all 4 tires all the way around, taking on the fuel. And this is a very scheduled pit stop for the Wallace team. They have completed the first can. They run back across the wall, take the second can, take all 22 gallons of the Union 76 fuel on board. They've completed the exchange of tires. They drop the jack, and he's away.
Jack, you might take a look at some of those tires that's coming off of those cars. Apparently, they're wearing those tires. That's the reason for the early pit stop.
They must be. Let's see who's going to win the race. Mark Martin's right behind him. They're side by side up in the corners. Let's see.
Mark Martin.
Whoa, Martin.
That's a battle now for 10th position as both cars have made pit stops. And now Mark Martin, the number 6 car, is in 10th, and Rusty is in 11th position. So we're 17 laps, now 18 laps into this event, and already seen some pit stops. So that means that we could see maybe up to 3 or 4 or 5 pit stops before this race is over.
Yeah, as far as gas is concerned, they could have made it on 2 at the most, and maybe even 1.
And Alan Kowicki slides off course once again. For at least the 3rd time in this event, Alan Kowicki takes the Xerox Ford off course.
Now, there's a guy that needs, and our leader, Ricky Rudd, our leader is coming in the pits. But Alan Kowicki, he's another guy that needs to visit pit road pretty soon.
Here's Ricky Rudd coming in, and Jack Arute will call this pit stop as the leader heads for his pits. Jack.
Ricky Rudd, formerly of Chesapeake, Virginia, brings his Quaker State Buick to a halt. We checked with Larry McReynolds before this stop. This is a scheduled stop. He said we decided this morning that we played a little bit conservatively, at least in the initial going. The concern was tires. But as the tires are being taken off this car, taking a cursory look at them, it looks as if they're wearing quite well. But in a road course in the unknown quantity here at Sears Point, McReynolds and the team decided to schedule early by maybe as much as 3 laps. He's off and away.
Well, Jack, up in the upper end of pit road here, we're showing this tire. This is the reason for the unscheduled stop for Mark Martin. They had not scheduled themselves to come in this early. This is the left rear tire that came off the Martin car. It has a big cut in it, a big hole where a piece of gravel had gone through the tire. And this tire is what caused Rusty Wallace to come down pit road. Crew Chief Barry Dawson saw the cut tire and said, hey, we don't want to take any chances. We might have the best car here today. Let's bring him in early and change all 4 tires and fuel it and get him back out. Take no chances whatsoever.
In other words, folks, what we had was a domino effect. One car made a pit stop, and it scared all the rest of the guys into making a pit stop. And here's our leader, Bill Elliott. He has still not made a pit stop.
Yeah, he didn't get scared by anybody. Bill is staying out there and now has the lead of the race. Among the other cars that have made pit stops, Dick Johnson is in for a scheduled stop. Now Dale Earnhardt moves up to second position. Jeff Bodine is third. Rudd is fourth, and the 75 car of Morgan Shepherd runs in fifth position, with some of these cars having made pit stops and some not having made pit stops.
Well,
Let's see if Bill does.
Second pit stop, and Michael Walker just went out of the pit. Here's Elliott now. He comes in to turn 9.
Nope.
Turn 11, and he stays out there. Bill has been running a very good, smart, I'd say conservative race up to this point. He hasn't abused his tires as much as those drivers who were running hard up front. He kept them pretty well in sight, and so he can stay out there a little longer.
And I tell you, the guy that's running second right now, Dale Earnhardt, we'll see him come here in the screen in just a moment. And as Jerry Punch talked about at the beginning of the show, he's saving his tires, Nick, by not having them on the ground.
Earnhardt moving uphill into turns 2 and 3. Now here comes Jeff Bodine, who is in third position. And right behind him is Ricky Rudd, the former leader of this race, who's now in fourth.
Well, I tell you, it must be nice to have an automobile that you can make a 4-tire pit stop under green and come back out and get back in fourth place that quick.
It is absolutely amazing. And Rudd's crew, we got to give a call to Larry McReynolds and his crew, because Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin, both those cars also made 4-tire changes, and Ricky Rudd still maintained the lead that he had throughout the pit stop exchange.
He's closing in on Jeff Bodine for that third position. Meanwhile, it's still Bill Elliott setting the pace as he moves through corner number 7. That's Dick Trickle in car number 84, just ahead of him. We'll see if Bill Elliott chooses to enter the pits this time around.
Well, Alan Kowicki is finally coming into the pits. Benny mentioned a moment ago that he's one that needs to come into the pits, and he is into the pits now. I'm sure he'll take on 4 tires as well.
There's the interval between first and second, and now back to the third position battle. Bodine and Ricky Rudd. Rudd coming off the 7th corner, goes to the inside, but cannot make the pass as the cars move into the S's once again.
About the only chance he had to get by Bodine was, oh, is he going to try it here?
Yes, he is. I'm ready. No, don't. He did it.
Oh, wow.
That makes me nervous, folks.
Well, that's certainly not one of the areas that we were told they could pass in.
No, that is not someplace. And Earnhardt is coming in the pits.
Dale Earnhardt's second-place car is in. Jack Arute is there.
Dale Earnhardt, led by Richard Childress and Kirk Shelmerdine, is elected to pit right out of turn 11, the entrance to pit road. They are completing their work. They, too, will go for 4 tires. Work on the right side has been completed. They elected to pit this car down away from the leaders because they felt that they could have a straighter shot under green pit stops and get back up to gear before they get out on the racetrack. Let's go back to the tower.
All right, he moves back out on the racetrack, picking up speed, and he'll fall into 10th position as he comes back out onto the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina, second place in Winston Cup points.
Here's a great race between Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace. I'll get it out in a moment. They have made a pit stop. Both of them has 4 tires on, and Rusty trying to get by Mark. A while ago, coming on turn 11, looks inside of it, not able to get by. Now they're up in the carousel, turn 6, and Rusty looks on the inside and not able to get by again.
Battle for 4th place. These guys have been running together most of the race. They started side by side initially, and now Martin and the Rusty Wallace car still going at it.
Rick Wilson just made a pit stop. Schedule stop for him, and here's Wallace trying to get on the inside.
Oh, that was a touch. Wallace gets it sideways coming off the corner again.
He had to jump out of the throttle to keep him hitting Mark Martin because he had committed to go on the inside and couldn't make it. And here comes Bill Elliott into the pits.
Our leader is in the pits, and Jerry Punch will call this pit stop.
Scheduled pit stop for the defending Winston Cup champion Bill Elliott. He comes hauling down pit road, and he's the first pit at the very entrance of pit road towards turn 1. Brings that motorcraft belling forward to a stop. They will make a 4-tire change, as most of the others have also done. Right side tires coming off the car. Dan Elliott, Ernie Elliott, the rest of the crew changing right side tires. They dance around to the left side, will slam that jack beneath the car. First can of fuel going in, second can going in. They roll that left front tire to Dan Elliott, who will put those lug nuts back on. Great trip for the Elliott crew. He is down and away. Good stop.
Boy, it's nice to see
sure is. I don't have a stopwatch, but I tell you, new tires must make a tremendous difference because these fellows that stayed on the racetrack for 2 or 3 laps and the fellows that made a pit stop earlier, like Rusty Wallace and some of those guys, and Ricky Rudd, our leader, they are really making up some time.
Darrell Waltrip coming back in for the second time, as we saw that time being made up out there. Here is Waltrip.
I believe he's been black flagged. Anyway, he's changing tires on the right side and getting some fuel. Jerry Punch, what can you tell us?
Well, he was called back in. The smoke in the rear of the car continuing to be a problem. They are going to change right side tires, and they are looking at, they have gone over next door to the Kodiak team and borrowed some epoxy. They are going to try to seal possibly some leaking area in the rear of the car with some of this epoxy that you can use at high temperature. They borrowed it from some of the Kodiak crew, Rusty Wallace's crew. They now have the car on jack stands on the right side of the car, and he is losing a lot of valuable time. A tough day for Darrell Waltrip.
Once again, the current Winston Cup points leader sits in pit road as the crew works under the car. We're at Sears Point International Raceway near Sonoma, California. Let's go to the pit area and Jerry Punch.
No surprise at all that Ricky Rudd is running as well as he is today, fellas. You know, Ricky Rudd, this is the same car that's been running on the road course for the past couple of years. The car that set on the pole for the Riverside finale a year ago, and the same car he won with at Watkins Glen last year on ESPN. You know, a third of his wins, 3 out of 9, have come on road courses. But more importantly, Larry McReynolds told me before today's race, they would like to win this one today for Kenny Bernstein. It's the anniversary, the 100th start for the Bernstein-owned Quaker St. Buick. They first started that team back in 1985 in Atlanta, 100 races ago, and they would like to get this one for their car owner. Gentlemen?
And I'm sure Kenny Bernstein would like to be here watching, but he's involved in an NHRA race this weekend in Columbus, Ohio. Checking the interval, it's down to 6.9, almost a full second that lap.
Almost a full second, and let's, we better give a call to the car owner of Mark Martin, Stroh's Life Ford. That's Jack Roush, who's got his racing career, started his racing career in road racing. Very good road racing.
He sure is no stranger to road racing, and he may have this car set up just fine for Mark Martin as Mark tries to win his first Winston Cup event. And you're looking out the back glass of the Alan Kulwicki car. Not only do you get an indication of the elevation changes, but you can also see that green car back of Dave Marcus is the leader of the race, Ricky Rudd, and so Alan is very close to going a lap down.
And that's something that you don't want to do, because should there be a caution flag, Kulwicki, the pace car would get in front of Ricky Rudd. Kulwicki would be able to go all the way around this 2.5-mile course and make up almost a complete 2.5 miles. So he wants to stay in front of that green car if he possibly can.
Dave Martin's having a good race here, trying to stay in front of Ricky Rudd to stay in that lead lap.
Marcus at the moment is in 19th position. Alan Kulwicki is in 18th. Now here are Davey Allison and Morgan Shepherd, and this is 9th and 10th as Davey Allison, who, by the way, has participated in the Bob Bondurant School of High Performance Driving here at Sears Point. 3 different occasions he took the basic course and has come back twice for refreshment.
Well, Davey is running 9th and Morgan Shepherd 10th, as you mentioned. Morgan had been running up at the top 10. He had a little skirmish not too long ago before he made a pit stop and has climbed his way back up now into the top 10, trying to take over the 9th position. He has run Davey down in the last few laps and is really working on him, trying to move around.
Good battle here between Morgan Shepherd and Davey Allison. They head into turn number 7 once again. Morgan may get the inside line on Davey going into the corner. I believe he's got the spot. Yes, he does. Morgan Shepherd, car number 75, moves into 9th position.
Well, he made that look pretty easy as he went in there, but he had caught him pretty quickly. He was about 4 or 5 seconds behind him about 3 laps ago, and so he ran him down, and Davey saw him coming and said, hey, I'm not going to battle you right now. Here's Sterling Marlin slowing down. He has been running in the 8th position. We saw him in a battle not too long ago, but now he's slowing down off the pace.
Well, let's go to Jack Arudowitz and Dick Trickle's pit. They've been working for several laps now to try to find the problem on Trickle's car. Jack, what is it?
Well, Bob, remember in the early going, Dick Trickle had that off-road excursion. Well, what he did is he bent this, a tie rod. Now, you know what that'll do to the steering of one of these 3,500-pound stock cars. He wrestled it as long as he could, and then he elected to bring it back in here. So it wasn't brakes. It was a bent tie rod, and you can't steer, especially when you've got to go through 11 turns here. You'd better have these straight.
I guess that's probably a true statement, isn't it?
Well, of course it is. Because that controls the toe ender, making the wheels go straight ahead, the tires go straight ahead. When that's bent, they go, one goes north and one goes south.
Or east or west, one way or the other.
Marlin is into the pits, and Jerry Punch is there.
Apparently, a transmission problem may have foiled the chances of Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco Oldsmobile. Apparently, he was trying to shift gears up around turn 6 coming out of the carousel. The car got hung in between gears. They now have the car jacked up and will try to raise the hood and adjust the linkage so he can get back out of the race, but he's losing a lot of valuable time. Tough break for Sterling Marlin.
So transmission problems again crop up here in another car. Now we're on lap number 34. At lap 37, we will reach the halfway mark, and the Gillette Right Guard Halfway Challenge will pay $10,000 to the leader of that lap. Ricky Rudd, car 26, is the current leader. Remember last week at Dover, the tremendous battle for the halfway point between Schrader and Dale Earnhardt? Well, looks like that Ricky Rudd is not going to be challenged quite as well. We'll see if he can hold on, though, for the next 2 laps. Now, look at the consistency that Ricky Rudd has had, at least in the 32nd and 33rd lap. 34, he slowed down just a little.
Probably ran into some heavy traffic somewhere. Boy, you don't have to back off much or you can lose a second or two.
That heavy traffic was called Dave Marcus. Remember the trouble he's having to get him by Dave Marcus? Marcus trying to keep him going a lap down. He was not able to do it. Rudd has now passed him, but it did cost Ricky 1 second that he followed Marcus at 1 lap.
Dave Marcus a lap down, so there are 18 cars on the lead lap.
Now, we saw Alan Kowicki not too long ago up in front of Ricky Rudd. While Rudd was trying to get around Dave Marcus, that allowed Kowicki to pull away just a little bit, so saved him from going down a lap at least at this point. You can see there Alan Kowicki gets in front of him, so he doesn't have too much room.
Let's go down to Jack Arud, who has a comment on the tires on the Ricky Rudd car.
Well, this set of tires that they put on the car for Ricky Rudd, they're reporting Rudd is back on the radio that they're just a bit looser than the ones he started the race with. Again, they have taken a very conservative game plan here, and they've said what we're going to try and do is maintain no more than a 7-second lead until we can come in and make the next tire change. They say they are racing this course rather than the competition.
All right, so that's the situation from the Rudd pit, and we are on lap. We have completed lap number 36. We're on lap 37. So this time around, at the finish line, Ricky Rudd, if he is leading, will pick up $10,000 from the Gillette Right Guard Halfway Challenge.
Some heavy smoke got Alan Kowicki's car right in front of Ricky Rudd. But you know, you talk about $1 million, and Darrell Wolford can win the Winston million. Darrell has a chance to win that. $10,000 doesn't seem right, Bob?
Wrong. Not to a TV announcer anyway.
No, they're very aware of that money that's out there, and they like to pick up every dollar they possibly can, and $10,000 in a particular race is a lot of money.
Rudd taking the car in very wide, and look, the car wiggled, and Kowicki's smoking even more.
Ricky Rudd has to be concerned about that. Anytime you see a car in front of you throwing off that much smoke, you wonder, is it fixing to blow? Is he putting oil or grease down on the racetrack? So Ricky Rudd driving very carefully out there right now.
Here we are inside Alan Kowicki's car. That's Neil Bonnet just ahead of the Citgo Ford, prepared by the Wood Brothers. And now we turn the camera around and look at the leader, Ricky Rudd, as he enters turn number 11. Alan Kowicki exiting the corner. Here comes Rudd right now, and he's just a few feet away from $10,000 and the halfway mark. Here he comes over the line. There it is. $10,000 goes to Ricky Rudd. The Right Guard Halfway Challenge money is his.
And Mark Martin continues to close in. He's only about 4.5 seconds behind Ricky Rudd. Jack Arute has a report on him.
Well, Steve Neal has come down all the way to almost the far end of the pits to talk to this team. That's Dave Marcus's crew. All he said to the crew chief was, we need to get by. Can he give us some room? Marcus's team radioed to Dave the word, and we'll have to wait and see if Marcus, who's one of the toughest competitors to get by, even on an oval track, will give way to a fast-closing Mark Martin.
All right. Thank you very much, Jack. Well, Kowicki still smoking leading badly while Ricky Rudd continues to circle the racetrack in the lead. Well, brakes and transmissions, two very important items for any race, but they're especially essential on a road course. Jerry Punch has this ESPN Track Fact. Track Facts are brought to you by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
Now, these are the normal brakes that are used on Winston Cup cars at most oval tracks. They're the JFZ brakes. Look at the size of the brake caliper and the brake rotor here for the JFZs. Now, on most road courses, for example, here at Sears Point, and a few short tracks like Martinsville, Virginia, where braking is so important, the teams have gone to the much more expensive, yet much better AP brakes. Take a look at how much larger the caliper and rotor is in the AP brake. These brakes cost about $5,000, but will stop the car. They were first developed actually in Europe for Formula One racing on road courses there. But if you need to stop a car or out-brake someone here at Sears Point in order to get a chance to pass them, these babies are what you need. Also, transmissions are important on road courses. Here's the Jericho transmission. Does not require a clutch to change gears. If you're changing gears somewhere between 9 and 12 times a lap as the drivers are here, it'll certainly save your left foot or your clutch leg a lot of grief throughout the afternoon. So the Jericho transmission and the AP brakes, critical here at Sears Point.
And we have seen a lot of transmission problems already. Here are the top 10 now as we're just past the halfway point in the Banquet Foods 300 from Sears Point International Raceway. We are back at Sears Point for Winston Cup racing, and a full course yellow has come out over the racetrack because of, we presume, Alan Kulwicki and the car dropping a lot of oil on the track, so the crews are going to come out and take a look. They're the corner workers who are displaying their yellow flags, but the drivers were told to observe those in a particular corner, but if the yellow comes out at the starter stand, start-finish line, it would be a full course yellow, and that is the situation that we are under right now. So just past the halfway point, we go yellow, and the pace car has picked them up. Pace car enters the track at turn number 8, and they're now in turn number 10 coming down the straightaway here, and the pace car is about to pass the entrance to pit road, so the pits are going to be open. There goes the green flag up, and there goes Ricky Rudd and the others in for some service.
And Mark Martin, the blue number 6, second place, right behind Ricky Rudd. We're going to have a great pit stop race here.
Rudd smoking down pit road. Jackaroot will call this stop.
Ricky Rudd comes to a halt. The Kenny Bernstein-owned car and crew having a great run. They've gone to the right side tires. The Jack is up there, going to make a tire change of all 4. Let's check in with Jerry Punch.
Likewise, here at Mark Martin's pit, Jack, right side tires have already gone on. They had the left side lug nut off. They are dancing around. Let's go back to Jackaroo.
Well, Jerry, they've completed the exchange on the left side as well, tossing the tires over the wall. They've dropped the Jack, Jerry.
Ricky Rudd headed down pit road. Here's Mark Martin. He'll try to beat him out, and Rudd will beat him back toward turn 1. What pit activity here under caution, gentlemen.
There goes Rudd zooming by, so he'll come out ahead of Mark Martin. Great work, guys, in the pits, calling those simultaneous stops by Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin.
Now, Rusty Wallace and gas coming out of the fuel overflow of Ricky Rudd's car, the Quaker State Buick. Rusty Wallace had just made a pit stop under green just before this caution came out.
And there is the work on the Alan Kulwicki car.
And he's behind pit wall. He's not on pit road. He's behind pit wall.
Joey Knuckles is there with the Jeff Bodine stop.
Bodine having to put the car into reverse to get around Alan Kulwicki as work continues on the outside pit wall on Alan Kulwicki's car, but they had a quick stop. Back to you.
I thought that Alan Kulwicki was on off pit road, but he is on pit road doing the work on that automobile.
And Bodine moves back out on the racetrack. We are under a full course yellow now, so these stops are being made under reduced speed. Ricky Rudd has kept the lead of this race under the caution.
We got ourselves a race now, Bob Jenkins.
Yeah, this thing is going to tighten up now. Mark Martin, who had been closing in on Ricky Rudd, knocking off a second a lap or so, is now going to be right there to make a bid for the lead, we presume, when the green flag comes out again.
This is the first real opportunity they've had to make adjustments on the car. They've made a green flag pit stop, but normally you just change tires. Sometimes you'll take the time to make a chassis adjustment on a green flag pit stop, but now they can do it a little more relaxed, and we might see some cars more competitive now than we've seen them a little bit earlier.
Well, what was a cool and cloudy Sunday morning here in the Napa Valley and Sonoma Valley of California has turned into a beautiful sunshiny day, and thousands of race fans are here to see. This Winston Cup of Key Rudd has the lead. Wallace is second, followed by Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt, and Bill Elliott. 6 through 10, Jeff Bodine, Joe Ruttman, Morgan Shepherd, Davey Allison, and Lake Speed running in 10 spots. Then the 11 through 15 positions held by Harry Gant, Bobby Hillen, Rick Wilson, Dick Johnson, and Michael Waltrip. And the field is still behind the pace car. Rusty Wallace is second on the racetrack, right behind Ricky Rudd. Now, he pitted out of sequence.
Well, just a little bit. A lap before the caution came out, Rusty Wallace had made a green flag pit stop and had taken on 4 tires, so he has not pitted during this caution period. And Jerry Punch, there really was no need for him to come back in, I guess.
Really, man, there wasn't at all. In fact, they had planned on him waiting maybe 3 or 4 more laps and then coming in, but they didn't want to take any chances. Jimmy Maycar, of course, who almost acted as the crew chief on that machine with Barry Dawson. They communicate so well together. They all decided to bring him in maybe a lap early, and had they waited a lap, they would have pitted under caution. But actually coming in early may have been to their advantage because of the distance of this road course and the time it takes to get around here. He made a 4-tire change. They added fuel to the car and a good pit stop. And then when the caution came back out, with pit road being closed until the pace car came by, everyone else had to pit, and he really had an advantage. Alan Kawicki and Ned is back on pit road. They have certainly had their problems this afternoon. A minute ago, while we were in break, Kawicki was in for a lengthy pit stop, and the problem they have is exactly the same thing that happened to Darrell Waltrip, who is still back behind pit wall getting his transmission worked on. He has a serious leak in the transmission on this Xerox Ford, and they are having their troubles here in the Kawicki pit. Let's go up pit road to Jackaroo. Jack?
Well, Jerry, one team that's not having any mechanical problems is that of Dick Johnson from Australia, but the team as a pit crew as a whole are having more than their share of problems. This is Ray Evernham, who is the crew chief on the car. Ray coming from the International Race of Champions, and this is your first time in Winston Cup competition, and you said you need some help.
Yeah, we sure do, Jack. Right now, our car and our driver, the Red Coast Thunderbird, is running a lot faster than our pit crew. We took a lot of time building the car, and we didn't get much chance to pit practice, and we're trying to run a pit crew right now. If we had a good pit crew and we could speed up these stops, I think we could really give a good run.
One thing to remember, guys, is the fact that all of their experience, and most of this crew comes from the International Race of Champions, when they make pit stops there, the laps don't count, so they get to do it under the luxury of that. Here, it's a little bit different.
Dick Johnson, the driver of that car, currently in 14th position. So we'll take another break here while we are under caution at Sears Point International Raceway. We'll be right back. NASCAR Winston Cup's first visit to the wine country of Northern California, Sears Point International Raceway, and the Banquet Frozen Foods 300. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Banquet Frozen Foods. Good food that's right on the money. By the First Name and Filters Purelator, exceptional protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. And by Armor All Protectant, because we're crazy about cars too. Under caution, our first full course caution of the afternoon, and I'm telling you what, there are a lot of people here today. The biggest crowd they ever had here at Sears Point was 55,000 for an NHRA race, and you can see that some people are shirtless simply because it has warmed up tremendously this morning. It was downright cold outside with the clouds and the wind, but just about at race time, the sun poked out, and now the sky is virtually free of clouds. And a lot of people are here to witness the first ever Winston Cup race at Sears Point International.
And they're very enthusiastic fans, too.
We had traffic backed up for miles this morning, even at 8 o'clock when we came in. It was a lot of traffic out there waiting to get in. Now, Ricky Rudd, the leader. Second position is Rusty Wallace.
Now, a lot of fans might wonder how that happened. We saw Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin race out of the pits after they had made their caution flag pit stop. Ricky Rusty Wallace had stopped under the green. Jerry Punch mentioned that it might have been an advantage for us. The advantage was that he was still running full speed when the caution came out. The others, Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin, had to slow down both behind the caution car to get into the pit. Rusty was trying to catch up. His spotter is on one of these high hills back behind the racetrack here. He knew there was not anything serious on the racetrack except some oil. He told him that. So Rusty came around at full speed, but Rudd did get his service, beat Rusty out not out of the pit, but got out on the track before Rusty came by, but between Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin. And since Rusty was trying to catch up to the pace car, that was legal for him to do that, so that's why he's in that position.
Well, we mentioned Mark Martin had been closing in on Ricky Rudd, and we now will have to watch Rusty Wallace also to contend with as the green flag is about to come back out. The caution lights on top of the pace car are out, and the pace car will be pulling off of the racetrack, and the green flag will come back out. Now, Ricky Rudd, we have been told by our spotters, Dan Laycock, our chief spotter, that Rudd may have some buildup on the tires and is concerned possibly with the restart here. Let's see how things go. The green flag comes back out.
Well, it's a single file restart on road course racing, and the soft rubber compound that they run on a road course will build up.
Earnhardt got by Rusty on the restart. Dale Earnhardt goes into second. He's trying to get by Ricky Rudd. He's on the inside. No, he doesn't.
Well, he passed both Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace and went into second. An unbelievable start for Dale.
Wow. Ends up driving. That's all there was to it. When that green flag came down, he took off.
And he wants the lead. He's challenging Ricky Rudd now into turn 4.
And he hasn't led this race so far today. He would like the 5 bonus Winston Cup points that comes with leading at least the lap.
Here comes Rusty Wallace also catching up with Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd.
That's Bill Cooper, one of the instructors here at the Mondron School in front of Ricky Rudd. He knows how to get around this racetrack. Ricky Rudd might have problems getting around that car. Let's see.
Mark Martin apparently is having some kind of a problem. It could be that he's stuck behind traffic, but he is dropping back a little.
Ricky Rudd tried to get on the inside of Cooper, could not do it. He still is hung behind him, and Dale Earnhardt right behind. He wants to get by. And watch this snake come down the hill.
That's Herschel McGriff leading this pack down through here.
Certainly knows his way around this racetrack.
They're in single file formation now through the S's. Now Earnhardt looking to the outside of Ricky Rudd coming off corner number 10.
Down braking.
Yeah.
The Rudd coming on the inside.
Going into 11. Earnhardt chooses the high line. Ricky Rudd goes to the inside, and oh, the number 79 car, Roy Smith spins.
And that was Roy Smith and not the Bill Cooper automobile that was in front of Rudd just a moment ago.
But he spins to the inside, gets things corrected, and goes back out onto the racetrack. And Ricky Rudd keeps the lead. But now Earnhardt is right there tucked up under the rear spoiler of that car as they try to pass Herschel McGriff. Here's how it shook out going into turn number 11.
And we see Ricky Rudd going alongside, and guess what? Rusty Wallace got in the side. Looks like he got in the right rear quarter of the Roy Smith automobile and sent him spinning around.
Now Rudd and Mark Martin all closing in on Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd. They're having a tough time getting around Herschel McGriff. Let's go to Jerry Punch with a comment on Mark Martin.
Well, I went over to their crew chief, Steve Meal, a minute ago, the team manager, rather, and asked him why he was dropping back from the restart a little bit. He said, hey, wouldn't you drop back if you saw Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt in front of you? He said, Mark said, I'm not going to mess with those guys. I'm going to let them go ahead, let them get straightened out, single file, and I'll pick them off one at a time.
Good, smart move by Mark Martin.
So the first 4 cars are nose to tail on the racetrack. The car leading the pack down through here is not on the lead lap. He's a lap down.
Or he's on the tail end of the lead lap. Maybe Herschel McGriff on the tail end of the lead lap, trying to stay in the lead lap.
And he is trying everything he can to stay in the lead lap. Little debris out there on the racetrack. Nothing of any significance, however, as the cars pass over it. Now the battle into the 11th turn once again. Let's see what happens. Rudd is on the outside. McGriff takes the low line this time. Earnhardt also inside, but they're going to come out in single file. Maybe Rusty has a shot at second here as he pulls alongside of Dale Earnhardt as they race down across the start-finish line. Ooh, a tight battle for second. Earnhardt holds it off.
Yeah, Rusty knew he didn't want to be out there too long with Earnhardt on the inside.
And Ricky Rudd just simply cannot get by the Herschel McGriff automobile. And as we talked about at the beginning, Bob Jenkins mentioned, Herschel McGriff, 62 years old.
Well, let's go down to Jack Arute, who's with Richard Childress.
Well, Richard Childress has been watching all the action here in turn 11, but you said before we went on the air that you really weren't all that pleased with him getting up there and dicing for the lead. You said he knows where he needs to be. We want to race in the last third of the race.
Yeah, Dale knows what we want to do right at the end of the race, and he knows what he's doing out there, but they're doing some awful, exciting dicing around out there, but we got confidence in Dale. He knows what he wants to do.
What about the track conditions? What's he reporting? Can he do a lot of racing, more than maybe you guys anticipated before the drop of the green?
Yeah, it seems to be able to. You can do a lot more passing, I think, than what was anticipated. But the track's real greasy right now, and you've really got to be careful with your tires and the car. So,
Earnhardt and Wallace are right now side by side. Let's go back to the booth.
They are sure side by side. They were going through corner number 11. Rusty has second spot.
One of the most unbelievable patches we've seen today on the outside in turn 7. He got Earnhardt behind Herschel McGriff and went on the outside and was able to get by.
It's obvious that these two guys are having a lot of fun going out there and banging and bouncing with each other. Earnhardt has fun on most racetracks he competes on. Is it fun to drive Sears Point International?
We'll have fun with it. Whether we are or not, we're going to have fun. We've got 6 laps to run here. It's a race. Once we got race on the schedule, we're going to have fun a lot of minutes.
Well, actually, it's only 74 laps, but it may seem like 76 or longer for Dale Earnhardt. He's in third position at the moment, having lost second to Rusty Wallace just a few moments ago. Ricky Rudd continuing to set the pace. And there is Mark Martin, who is closing in on that car, and also Bill Elliott is not too far behind.
Where did this guy come from?
He's hanging right in there.
We've not talked about Bill Elliott too much today, but he had a good qualifying run. And look here, he's right on the back bumper of Mark Martin.
Remember, I said after you made those pit stops, fellas, that this was the first opportunity they've had to make adjustments on those cars. We might see some competitive now that we had not seen a little bit earlier. I think that's what we're seeing here right now. Plus the fact that we're getting closer to the end of the race. Those that were running very conservative towards the front of the race decide maybe it's time to go.
So Bill Elliott finds himself in 5th position as now Mark Martin makes a bid for 3rd on Dale Earnhardt, and Martin has the position, and he too uses the outside line. They're in turn 7.
Now, wait a minute.
That ain't the way it's supposed to be done.
No, these guys are not playing right. Playing on the outside.
It's pretty amazing. Mark Martin now in 3rd position.
Well, it is smart to approach that turn on the high side, but you want to use all of the racetrack, dip that back down to the inside once you get into the apex of the turn. But he was able to hold it out there and just move right on around.
Well, the Stroline Ford has been running so well. Yellow flag is out on the racetrack. Full course caution is out because of the 79 car of Roy Smith, who has slid off course and is in a rather dangerous position. So it is the judgment of the NASCAR stewards that they will get the car off the course and once again slow the field with a caution flag. It comes out on lap number 48. We'll be right back in just a moment. Here's Point, where pit stops are being made with Bill Elliott in the pits, Mark Martin moving back out on the racetrack. Here is Dale Earnhardt moving back out. A lot of activity on pit road. Jeff Bodine is in, and look at the damage there on the left side.
It looks like that he must have hit the 26 car, a tire or something on the 26 car.
Yeah, I think Ricky Rudd has just got
headed out.
Mark Martin's on his roof. And here goes a tire down the racetrack.
Mark Martin's car has overturned.
There's Mark Martin down the car. Hey, get away from the racetrack, boy. Well, yeah, but he'd like to turn that thing back over. He said, I bet it'll run if I can get it turned back over and get it back to the pit, then it might just do it.
It doesn't have a tire. I guess that's Mark Martin's tire because there isn't a tire on the other side of the automobile.
Well, maybe he left the pits a little too early.
Oh, man, no.
We just saw him leaving the pits a couple of seconds ago, but he has overturned the car in corner number 1 under caution. Mark is walking off, crossing the racetrack. He obviously is okay, but what a scary moment it must have been for Mark Martin. We have a replay of what happened.
Mark Martin's wheel comes off. He gets off the course and gets up on the bank, gets those tires Ned was talking about.
And it just upsets the car and flips it right over on its roof.
Just stays right there.
Yeah, the wheel obviously came off of the car as he was exiting pit road, and Mark is running back to the pit area. So obviously he is in fine shape, but the pit crew is...
I bet you he changes the left rear tire.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, that was a tough break. Mark's running back there and say, hey, if they can get that car back in here, we can still run something.
But the problem is, why didn't he stay there and guide the director and get the car turned back over?
That's a good point. I don't know. Or maybe he's coming back to get the crew.
Here's Rudd. What's he doing stopping? Oh, the car.
Ricky Rudd is right here in front of us on the racetrack.
They have red flag the race. Or something.
Well, let's go to Jerry Punch. Maybe he can explain what's going on.
Well, Mark came running back in here with both hands in the air and just simply said, what happened to Steve Meal? And they're trying to explain to him what happened, partly a problem with the tire or maybe the air gun back there in the right rear. But Mark's obviously out of breath from running back out here and sad and hot under the collar, as well as being hot a little bit about what happened, discussing things with the crew members. And apparently a disappointing day for Mark Martin. He is here.
Why is Ricky Rudd sitting on the racetrack? I don't understand why Rudd...
He's apparently waiting for the pace car to come around. It's in corner number 11 right now. Rudd is here on what we will term the front stretch, which is right here in front of our broadcast position. But he does have a considerable amount of damage on the right front of that car, we presume, from where he hit Jeff Bodine here in the pits.
Yeah, I think that was the situation.
And
here is Ricky Rudd about to leave the pits as Jeff Bodine comes in.
Oh, yeah.
They do make contact. And
that is from the crew cam, worn by Joey Knuckles. That's how it looked. Wow, from his vantage point.
Well, thanks, Joey, for pointing that thing in the right direction at the moment.
They are righting the car of Mark Martin. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Mark.
First of all, Mark, you okay?
I'm fine.
What happened?
Flip. I left the pits here, and the left rear wheel came off, and the car flew out of control, and got on the tires or something, flipped, turned upside down. It wasn't a bad deal. It was easy roll. It just real unfortunate for the Stroh's Light team. We weren't supposed to change any tires. We were just going to gas and go, and that's what we did, and somehow the nuts got taken off the left rear.
So a communications problem here in the Stroh's Light pit, and it will cost Mark Martin a shot at victory today.
Mark Martin will undoubtedly win a Winston Cup race this year. He has come so close. The car has run so well this year, but it's all over for him today here at Sears Point. He's a very dejected and unhappy young man after having rolled over in turn 1. Point, there's the number 40 car driven by Darren Brassfield, who won on this racetrack earlier this year, in fact, in May in an SCCA Trans Am race. That's got Dale Earnhart on the back.
Dale Earnhart Chevrolet in Newton, North Carolina. Look at this guy. This is Tarzan.
Any place you can get a good vantage point, and this young man has found apparently a very good one.
He's waving to you, Jink. He's waving to you. I know, boy.
Well, there are lots of people here today. Look at that grandstand. It's full. They're standing all along the course here. And it is a beautiful day in the northern portion of California. Well, communications with the driver. It is a lot different than it was a few years ago. And while we have the opportunity here under a full course yellow, another track back, this time with Gary Nelson. Trackbacks are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Today in NASCAR racing, there's a constant communication between the crew chief and the driver. Here's how it's accomplished. The crew chief wears a radio on his side. When he wants to talk to the driver, he pushes on a button on his headset. The signal goes out from this antenna to an antenna mounted on the roof of the race car. Comes down through a radio inside the driver's compartment to these earplugs that are actually placed inside the driver's ear, so there's no background noise. Now, when the driver wants to talk to the crew, he pushes the button on the steering wheel. The signal comes up from the same radio, out the same antenna on the roof. Crew chief receives it on his radio and hears it through these headphones. That's a whole lot better than it used to be when we used to wave the drivers into the pit.
Sears Point Point International Raceway. It's nearing 6 o'clock on the East Coast, only 3 o'clock here in the Western time zone. The top 10 with 51 lap caution here at Sears Point because of the accident down in turn number 1 involving Mark Martin.
And there has been...
Let's go to Jerry Punch for a report on pit road.
Well, here's what's left of Mark Martin's T-Bird, and Mark is climbing in very quickly now. They're scampering around. The wrecker came flying up pit road and stopped, and the car came to a halt. That is really guts, ladies and gentlemen. He was upside down in the car. He gets in. He's looking for the steering wheel. Now he found it and put it back on. The steering wheel being clamped down. They're pushing the rear deck down. They're getting a little bit of an assist from some of Kenny Schrader's crew, some of the Folgers crew here helping out Mark Martin. It's a lot of camaraderie here, and they're running around trying to get Mark refitted in the car. They put a tire back on the car. The tire had come off, and he had flipped upside down. Here's a replay of exactly what happened. The car exiting pit road. He's sliding sideways, spinning in the embankment, and the car up on the embankment, and he's over on his roof. And I tell you, a tough break for Mark Martin, but they're trying to get him back in now. Quite a gutsy move by the Stroh's Light Jack Roush crew as they are pinning him back in the car. The windshield is cracked. They're taping it. Of course, he's third in the Winston Cup points, and that pays $1 million at the end of the year. And Mark Martin, Steve Mill, now he refires it. All kinds of grass and sawdust comes out from the tailpipe on the left side. He's put it in gear, and believe it or not, he's going to drive away. Let's go up to Jackaroo. Jack.
Well, we're watching the action here down with Larry McReynolds and the NASCAR people as they're discussing where he should be positioned. Now, what happened is before the display of the yellow flag, they came in, as you saw on the replays, and took only fuel. They said that's all we were going to do, but they beat themselves back out and looked as if they were trying to gain a lap. We've seen that happen many times, never before on a road course. So now the discussion is going on as to where his position should be. Larry has also checked with Ricky Rudd and has checked on the condition of the race car after hitting that tire from the Jeff Bodine car, and they said that the car is perfectly okay. In fact, they radioed to Phil Parsons to make a cursory examination. He did likewise. But the discussion is continuing here. Let's see if we can eavesdrop just a bit.
I mean, that ain't right. We did it for fuel only. That ain't right.
As you can see, there's a lot of concern here. We're going to throw it back to you until they get this thing straightened out.
All right, the discussion continuing between Larry McReynolds and the NASCAR officials on the positioning of Ricky Rudd. So it appears to be, at this point, a very good time to take a break from Sears Point and to, first of all, take a look at Benny's hat of the week and some green here at Sears Point once again. Now, we have a resolution to this placement of Ricky Rudd. Here's Jack.
Well, Bob, very simply, they've elected to leave Ricky Rudd where he is. NASCAR listened to their arguments, and they said, hey, you're right. Let's check in with Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Well, Barry Dodson here on the pitch talking to his driver. He was trying to fight for Rusty Wallace, trying to get Rusty put back in the lead of this race. He is talking to him right now. We're trying to get a quick comment from Barry. Barry, what were you trying to achieve there? What were you trying to do?
The 26 ran the stop sign. I think he should have been put in line behind all the cars in the lead lap. Rusty was yelling at me, plus Raymond, and they were right. They said they were going to do it. They never did. I don't know what's going on. It's just another confused Sunday.
Well, that's Barry Dodson, his comments about where they are right now on the track. Gentlemen?
A bit of a controversy here at Sears Point as to whether or not Ricky Rudd should be the leader of this race.
No question, boy, he beat everybody out of the pit. He only took on fuel, but I think he got back down to the end of pit road before the caution car got through the start finish line.
All right, Jack, what else can you add to that?
Bob, let's see if we can untangle this. They only took on fuel. They went back out. That's Ricky Rudd. So it looked as if they were trying to beat the pace car. Remember a couple of laps earlier when we saw Ricky Rudd stop out on the racetrack? That's why he stopped there, to show that he was not trying to beat the pace car and gain a lap. That was the point that they argued about. Not that he ran a stop sign. He said, look, we just made a quick stop, and with the nature of this track, you can inadvertently gain a lap. NASCAR listened to their argument. Cooler heads prevailed, and they said, you're right, you didn't try and gain a lap, so we'll let you retain your position.
Okay, and what NASCAR says goes, so that's the way it is. Here's Dale Earnhardt moving up through traffic, passing Dave Marcus through the S's. There's Wallace. There's Bill Elliott, second and third behind Ricky Rudd.
And we'll make mention that Mark Martin is back in the race in the Stroh's Light Ford number 6, trying to pick up some Western Cup points. We said if he can get that thing back in fifth, and he's trying to get back out there.
That is unbelievable that somebody can roll over on their top and then continue in the race. That happened, of course, at Daytona, the very first race of the year with Davey Allison, and it occurs here at Sears Point. We saw, by the way, Davey Allison in that previous shot entering pit road, so obviously a problem on the Havoline board. But on the racetrack, some heated racing going on as the number 55 car of Phil Parsons is just ahead of second place Rusty Wallace and third place Bill Elliott. Then comes Earnhardt and a car off the course.
Darren Brasfield in the Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet in the Mobil 1 automobile off the course. There's Rusty looking inside Phil, and he has him in turn 6 of carousel.
Phil is not on the lead lap. Here comes Rudd out of the carousel.
Now, Ricky Rudd did not change tires, and Rusty Wallace, I believe, did put 2 tires on his automobile. Did he, Ned, or do you know?
I don't know.
I think Rusty did put 2 tires, and it might make a difference when after a couple of laps, the newer tires might be a little bit better.
Well, Rusty's tires were just a lap or 2 older than Rudd's because he had stopped under that green prior to the last caution they had.
Jerry Punch with a comment on Rusty Wallace.
Well, answering your question, gentlemen, Rusty Wallace changed 4 tires. So he has 4 fresh tires. Jimmy Maycar signaling 4 fingers to me here a minute ago. So apparently, even if they didn't get back in position, Rusty feels he may be able to catch Rudd and go by. Gentlemen?
Troy Beebe, by the way, that has spun there in turn number 7, but he's back underway all right. And Davey Allison ahead of him and Darrell Walker behind him.
Yeah, you can see that Darrell has come back into the race after an extended stay at the Roger to change the transmission.
Looks to me like Rusty Wallace is gaining on Ricky Rudd. He's many, many car lengths closer than he was the last time by. Phil Parsons almost getting off the course up there. I saw the right front tire smoke.
I think Phil just got out of the way of Bill Elliott and Earnhardt, gave them plenty of running room.
Elliott and Earnhardt running 3rd and 4th. Elliott closing in on Bill a little bit, but Elliott has run just a really great race.
Yeah, he's not losing anything to those front 2 cars that are losing.
Ford, only 1 win this year in Winston Cup competition.
Earnhardt pulling up on behind Bill Elliott. You know, I was present when Bill Elliott won his first Winston Cup race. It was on a road course in Riverside, California. Guess who he beat? You remember who he beat? You? Me. Not a very good day.
And Wallace is only just a few car lengths now behind Ricky Rudd. There they are in the S's once again. He's really closing in on Ricky.
He is closing. The S's is where the new tires are going to make more difference than some other corners on the racetrack. Obviously, they are helping Rusty Wallace now.
And look who's racing together again. Joe Ruttman and Morgan Shepherd. They were earlier in the race and they found each other again.
And they're running in the 6th and 7th position. Ruttman running in 6th position. Morgan Shepherd running 7th. So both of them having good runs here this afternoon.
Here's Morgan trying to make a move on the inside of turn number 11. He gets the nose under. Joe Ruttman's coming out. They're pretty much side by side as the better battle is up front. Rusty Wallace is all over Ricky Rudd as they come uphill.
It's for a race for a lot of money because if Rusty Wallace could win this race today, he picks up a bonus of $76,000. Union Oil offers the pole sitter the opportunity to win some extra money. This Sunday is worth $76,000 if Rusty Wallace can win it, and no other driver has the opportunity.
And it's only been won 1 time this year. That was at Rockingham when Rusty won it, and he has a good chance of doing it again. He is really trying to find a way around Ricky Rudd.
Well, Rudd using the racetrack to his advantage, using that inside groove where he needs to, not giving Rusty a chance to dip down on the inside. Bill Elliott still not too far out of sight there.
Let's see if Rusty can use his outside line in turn number 11, or 7 rather. He's passed there before, and if he's going to do it, he's going to have to get, nope, he can't do it as Rudd slides high coming off the corner and blocks his pass.
Well, he used the racetrack to his advantage that time, just blocking Rusty Wallace. He's leading the race, so the racetrack is here.
Rusty must have slipped just a little bit in one of those corners because he fell back 3 or 4 car lengths, but easily picks the pace back up. Yeah, that's right. The Watkins Glen last year, these same 2 cars. Oh, Rudd gets in the corner too hard, smokes the brakes. He gives Rusty an opportunity.
go down to Jerry Punch once again, who's in the Rusty Wallace pit.
The importance of a good crew chief like Barry Dawson cannot be singled out at any one event of the year, but just a few minutes ago, Barry Dawson told Rusty Wallace, be patient, partner, be patient. You have 4 fresh tires. Remember, Rudd just had a gas to go. His tires have got to be almost worn out. Get up there, run him hard, worry him a little bit, and then go by him a little while. Don't take any chances. Remember, he also reminded him about that $76,000 bonus if he can win it today. Gentlemen?
Well, some good race strategy being played out in here, and believe me, he is worrying Ricky Rudd. No question about that.
But the longer that he stays back there, the more advantage is going to swing back to Ricky Rudd because the tires are going to get more even in this situation.
Wallace once again going to the outside of Rudd in the 7th corner. Rusty may be setting him up here for an inside pass. Nope. Wallace slides off the corner and has to maintain that 2nd position as Bill Elliott is watching all this from 3rd place. So some great road racing going on here this afternoon at Sears Point International Raceway in NASCAR's Winston Cup Series first visit to this 2.5-mile road course. Back in a moment. Back at Sears Point on our Napa race summary shows that Ricky Rudd is leading this 300-kilometer event. He started in 4th position, has led 37 of the 60 laps at an average speed of 75.828 miles an hour. He pitted on laps 19, 40, and 48. We have had 2 overall caution periods, a total of 12 laps, 3 leaders and 3 lead changes. 42 cars started, and 38 of them remain in the race. 16 are on the lead lap. And those 4 cars that have dropped out of competition, Ron Esau, Dale Jarrett, Alan Kowicki, and Roy Smith. But some heated competition is going on the racetrack. Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick car number 26 leads the Kodiak Pontiac, driven by Rusty Wallace. And these guys are really going at it tooth and nail out there.
You know, Ricky Rudd is running more of the road racers line. He's making them real wide, sweeping corners, and Rusty Wallace just going straight through those corners. And both of them look like the cars are equal. So which way is the best? I guess whichever way seems to work for you. Here's Dick Johnson, the Australian driver in the red coat Ford.
He's
behind Bobby Hillen.
And he's in 11th position. Bobby Hillen there in car number 8 is in 10th. So Johnson in 11th and doing a very respectable job in his Winston Cup debut.
He certainly is doing a great job out here this afternoon. We heard one of his crew members say earlier that the driver and the car were there. They just need a little better pit work than what they've had, but they are having a very good run here today. 16 cars still in the lead lap here today. And for more on the Johnson story, let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Dick Johnson's 43 years old. He's from Brisbane, Australia. He had a tough time even getting here. They have an airplane strike in Australia. And in fact, he almost didn't make it. They had to charter a plane to get him here, and he missed the first practice session. Even though he missed the first session, had minimal practice, he still qualified 11th. Now, he has just clinched the series championship down there. They call it the Grand Touring Sedan Series in Australia, and they run purely on road courses. So he's a veteran road racer from Australia. What he drives down in there is something called a Ford Sierra. It's the sort of like our Mercury Mercure. He's a Ford factory driver down there, and certainly trying to show his wares today. He is one of the drivers who people have been so impressed with down there as he's coming out towards
he spins, Jerry.
He loops it around in turn 11, and Richard Petty is also involved. A lot of cars out of turn 11. Bob?
All right, Johnson and Petty both spin, and you can see Dick trying to get headed in the right direction. Now he is. No harm, no foul, but a couple of spinners in turn 11.
And he lost several positions during that spin, but with 16 cars still in the lead lap, he dropped back to he was running the 11th, he dropped back to 14th, I believe.
Right.
Rick Wilson, Kodak Film, Oldsmobile. Rick running in 13th position. Put a little bump there. Inside one of those corners.
You almost run off the racetrack and trying to get by Rick Wilson.
Jeff Bodine, we understand, is having problems on the racetrack. As we stay in Dick Johnson's car, there is Bodine. A lot of smoke pouring from the inside.
That's just a fender rubbing the tire. That Bodine has touched somebody up in the corner and has knocked the fender in on the tire, but he's certainly going to have to pit.
here with the crew cam.
Take a look at the crew cam. Joey Knuckles now looking beneath the car, the right front. Looking underneath the right front of the car. Apparently trying to determine what is broken. Now Joey Knuckles scanning, stepping back to the car and scanning as he looks down at other crew members. Waddell Wilson, crew chief, and Jeff trying to work on the right front of the car. Now he has a tire off, putting another tire on. Apparently it may have been a fender rubbing. They're just going to put a tire on, put the hood back down and let it go. A lot of valuable time being lost, but hopefully nothing more serious than a cut tire for Jeff Bodine. Bodine's far down and away.
And Jerry, I believe he will be able to stay in the lead lap. But he probably will fall to the tail end of the lead lap, and we have 16 drivers still in the lead lap, and Dick Johnson just made a pit stop in car number 38.
Here is the replay from the in-car camera of Dick Johnson. Well, you could hear metal against metal as Richard Petty and Dick Johnson made contact with each other there in corner number 11, causing both to spin. And Darrell Waltrip comes into the pit. Boy, it's been a long, tiring day and disappointing day for this young man who had the Winston Cup points lead going in, but probably will relinquish it this afternoon when it's all over. Jerry Punch reports.
Darrell Waltrip back in for what would be a scheduled stop. He came back out before that last caution, so they will come back in and change left side tires on the Tide Chevrolet. They're taking a chance of losing a good race car and injuring their driver. Jeff Hammond drops the jack. Waltrip down and away, 12.8 seconds.
Waltrip takes the Lumina back onto the racetrack. Let's replay this Dick Johnson spin once again and see if we can determine what happened. You can see that Richard Petty was going inside of Dick going into the corner, and you really can't tell because our camera picked them up after they had already spun. But just one of those racing incidents I think we can pretty much write off as that. Meanwhile, up front it is still Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick car number 26, leading the number 27 Kodiak Pontiac, driven by Rusty Wallace. On this Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening in the East Coast, the Banquet Frozen Food 300 from Sears Point International Raceway. Ricky Rudd leads Rusty Wallace, and you can see the times there on Ricky Rudd's laps. Lap 62 was a minute 43.6. The 63rd lap was a minute 43.9. The 64th lap maybe caught in a little bit of traffic, slipping to a minute 44.5. And you can bet that the lap times are just exactly the same for Rusty Wallace because he's right there on his back bumper.
Yeah, he's been dogging him for the last 8 or 10 laps. In fact, we have less than 10 laps to go, so going to stay tight.
There's traffic. There's Mark Martin, and his car we know is a little bit bruised because he flipped it just a moment ago back on the racetrack, and Troy Beatty. It may determine how well Ricky Rudd can get by these cars as to who's going to win this race.
Mark Martin flipped over, and he's back in the race in car number 6. Started second in this event. You can see him pulling over and letting the leaders pass by. Very good gesture on Mark Martin's part. He's just out there for Winston Cup points.
Yeah, he has nothing to gain by racing those guys.
And Brett Bodine has spun right in the middle of corner number 11. The others pass by on the high side and get by okay. We've had a lot of spins down there so far today. Nothing of any major significance, but Brett Bodine, the latest.
Brett Bodine wants some TD time. We hadn't talked about it too much today, and he said, I want some prime time. So, Brett, we got it for you, baby.
In the Motorcraft Ford.
Yeah, you've got a commercial, too, right?
There is Brett from Chemung, New York, and his brother, Brett Bodine, or rather Jeff Bodine, is right behind him in the number 5 car.
Looks like they got the fender beat out on that automobile. As a matter of fact, Jerry punches down the pits. He can find out what happened.
Let's find exactly out what may have happened on Jeff Bodine's car. Waddell Wilson, what was the problem on the car?
Something got on the right front tire and rubbed the place in it. And, you know, he was the reason it was smoking so bad, and then we came in and changed it.
Apparently showing a lot of smoke again at Jeff Bodine, and Waddell Wilson will go back and talk to his driver, so possibly a problem again for that right front.
Henry cars running together again, Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip, and Dick Johnson has parked his car on the tire barrier. I don't think he wanted to do it that way, but...
There's the camera. We talked about a horizon a moment ago. That certainly is a camera shot. And I'll tell you what, they might have to throw the caution flag because of this.
I'll have to come in. You can have a look.
He's telling the course workers.
Well, he certainly is not going to have traction even if he gets the engine cranked, because the front end is up on those tires. And as Benny said, he's pretty close to the racing surface there.
Dick Johnson, can you hear me?
Okay.
Dick Johnson, this is Bob Jenkins at ESPN. Can you hear me? Well, apparently not.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Hey?
What happened, Dick?
Well, there's obviously a bit of oil up here, and I fired up in there probably a little bit quick. And it just sort of slipped off the road a little bit, like it's as slippery as a butcher's block up here. There's more gunk on the road than there is on the kitchen table.
Dick, you had a great run. How did your day go prior to this point?
Well, I'm just waiting for these turkeys to lift me off here. All I want to do is get back and have a go.
We like your accent, too. Welcome to Winston Cup.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just want to get to the finish. You know, I've come a long way to have a race, and I'd like to get to the finish.
All right, we'll see what happens. Thanks a lot.
They've thrown the caution flag, Dick Johnson, so there'll be some help there in just a little bit.
So a full course yellow does come out on lap number 66. Lap number 67 make it.
Oh, my goodness. Now what do you do?
Yeah, right.
You got to pit.
You think so, Ned?
I think so.
Somebody's going to stay out there. This is in the lead
Probably
lap.
will. They probably will. Yeah, some of them will. You got 16 cars still in the lead lap, maybe 15 now after.
There's only 7 laps to go.
7 laps to go, and folks, there is a single file restart. All NASCAR races, most of the NASCAR races that you see here on the ESPN is a double file restart, just like the start of the race. Not so on the road course. It's a single file restart. So, if you make a pit stop and 20 cars stays on the racetrack, you've got to start 21st.
Yeah, I believe I'll take that back. I believe you got to stay out there. At judgment time, we'll see.
The pit entrance at the moment is closed. The cars right now are in corner number 7. Now the pace car, remember, picks them up in corner number 8, so they are approaching as we see Jeff Bodine having the continuing problem with the right front corner of that car.
Yeah, he was just in for a pit stop and went a lap down, at least a lap down. Yeah. He's still having a problem.
Now the pace car should be picking them up here at any moment in corner number 8, and then when the pace car does pick them up and past the pit entrance, it will be open.
Watch this now. These guys have got the jack on the pit wall. They got the windshield thing out. But this might be a little bit of a trick. They might be trying to feint the other guys into thinking they're going to stop and stay on the racetrack.
Now, if you're about 5th or further back, then maybe it's time to come in. Yeah, here, they're acting like they're going to bring Rusty in, too.
But are they? That's the key. Are they or are they not?
Well, we'll know here in just a moment. Pit road is open. Nope, nobody is coming in. So much for that. So, Dick Johnson's car will be taken from the racetrack as we're only 7 laps away from the end of this race. Who'll win it? Interesting afternoon of racing here at Sears Point. There is Dick Johnson. His car has gotten off of the tire wall and now is back on the race course. He is the reason for this full course yellow that we are under at the moment. The car ran off the course as he got in some oil. Here it is, and here's how it sounded. Well, he was a little upset with himself or the car or the track or something. In any case, Johnson slides off into the tires, but is back on course.
He had a lot of front-end damage, as a matter of fact, to that car. The wheels are not exactly headed in the right direction. He probably has one of those steering arms bent, as we saw him off of Dick Trickle's car a little bit earlier here today. So he might be able to finish it, but they have a lot of work to do on the car before he will be able to.
Wish I could understand Australian. Because, you know, it looks like that a while ago he's talking about a butcher's block. Jackaroo, what was all that deal a while ago when he was all standing in the middle of pit road?
Well, Benny, let's talk to Larry McReynolds, who calls the shots on the Quaker State Buick. You tried to throw Rusty Wallace a dummy. You looked like you were going to try and bring Rudd in.
Well, you know, play games like this, you know, Ricky didn't really want to go along with it too much. He's just trying to psych himself up for these last 4 laps. But, you know, there's a lot of monkey see, monkey do in these pits. But them boys, my hat's off to them down there at the 27 car. They're professionals. They make decisions on what their car's doing and not what other people do.
Hey, a lot of tight quarters racing, especially where we can see it down in turn number 11. Now, there's $76,000 in bonus money up for grabs, not for you, but for the guy that's running in second. He's got to talk to Ricky Rudd right now. I'm sure he's not trying to tell him that, Jerry Punch.
Well, Barry, you know, Larry McReynolds is just saying it's a monkey see, monkey do situation here. They were going to try to psych you guys out and maybe feign a pit stop.
Well, they tried. They psyched us out before, you know. They gassed and went. We felt like they'd do that. Our tires are about 5 laps fresher. Maybe that'll pay off for us. We could make it on fuel. We stopped early a couple times to get better tires on it. I don't think that they thought we could make it.
They tell me Rusty's thinking a lot about that $76,000 bonus from Unical, that skins game, plus whatever he would pay to win here, which is the richest road course race in NASCAR history. Could be a big payday if Rusty can get around Ricky Rudd.
And we've got 5 more laps. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have been sort of watching this race with one eye in the last couple of hours, open both, because we're set up for some exciting racing here in the last 5 laps of this race. We are under a caution, but when we go green, it's going to be a shootout. Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, and others. Come right back. We hope you're enjoying today's live coverage of the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 from Sears Point International Raceway, located near Sonoma, California. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Banquet Frozen Foods. Good food that's right on the money. By Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will. By Pronto, featuring quality auto parts at lower prices. And by Budweiser Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Well, the 80 or so thousand people that have gathered here are now standing and ready for the conclusion of this race. We have a situation that Ricky Rudd is in the lead. Rusty Wallace is right behind. Bill Elliott running third. Dale Earnhardt fourth. And the 5th place car is Joe Ruttman. There you can see the filled grandstands here, or nearly filled. The pace car is going to be pulling off the track momentarily, and the green flag will wave with 4 laps to go. 4 laps around the 2.5 miles of the circuit.
Bob, the only one of the top 5 cars that pitted was Morgan Shepherd in the Valvoline Pontiac. He was running 5th, and he did make a pit stop for 4 tires. That's what gets the green flag.
Through turn number 1, uphill. Turn 2, lap 70, green flag showing. Watkins Glen, this race so reminiscent. Oh, and Mark Martin is off the course again, slides into the tire wall. He turned over earlier in the race and got back in competition, and now he slides off course once again.
That's the same spot that Dick Johnson was off the course just a moment ago. But Mark has the car going. We'll not see another caution flag, thank goodness.
And now Rusty Wallace dogging Ricky Rudd. As I mentioned last year at Watkins Glen, these two slugged it out for the lead, with Ricky Rudd taking the victory and Rusty Wallace finishing in second position. Rusty has $76,000 on the line in addition to the prize money here if he can pull off the victory. They head for turn number 7. Here is one of the racetrack's biggest passing areas. He moves to the outside of Rudd. They're side by side through the corner. And now Rudd and Wallace bump, and Rudd runs him off the racetrack, but it really doesn't slow Rusty very much. He only drops back a couple of car lengths.
Man, those tires must have cleats on them, because he got in the dirt and just kept on going like always.
Well, I know a lot of people are thinking about the Winston and the contact that Rusty Wallace and Darrell Waltrip had.
Oh, Rusty almost, he did get off the course just a little bit, but not enough to upset the car, I don't think.
71 laps are about to be completed. A little tire smoke coming from Ricky Rudd's car. Here they come down the front stretch, completing lap 71. 3 more circuits to go, and there's the interval between first and second.
And trouble out here on the front straightaway just after they came off of turn 11. There again, getting tangled up with Bobby Hilley. they appear to be out of harm's way, but they came off of turn 11, and they're out in that wide open area that we saw at the top of the show. One of the track workers running up to Harry Gant, he said, give me a push, I want to go. I'll get this thing cranked so I can get back out there.
Bobby Hillen kept going. Harry Gant is still here in this wide open area in front of us. He gets going, and so with 3 laps to go, we go back to the action on the racetrack. It is still Rudd leading Rusty Wallace by 6 or 8 car lengths now, as that little incident in turn number 11, rather turn number 7, has slowed Rusty just somewhat, and he's not been able to close in on Rudd.
Harry Gant was running in 6th position, so this will drop him back in the standings. He was one of the 14 drivers who were still in the lead lap.
I think that Joe Ruttman, one of our spotters, said that Joe Ruttman was also involved in that skirmish off turn 11. Rusty Wallace really getting into that corner up in turn 7. Closed up on Ricky Rudd 4 or 5 car lengths just in that one corner alone.
Now he's really closing in on him through the S's. He narrows it down to about 4 car lengths as there Jimmy Maycar, the Rusty Wallace pit crew, watching his driver. He'll come into his view right about now. Into turn number 11 once again. And Ernie Irvin is spun in the middle of the racetrack. Here comes Mark Martin and Bobby Hillen, and everybody gets by okay. Now there are only 2 more laps to go. 72 laps completed, 2 to go.
Ooh, Rusty Wallace is coming up. He has closed within 1 car length of Ricky Rudd. Of course, I'm not telling you anything you can't see yourself, folks.
Oh, now really sneaking in on Rudd. It's going to be one of those finishes, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by.
Well, Rudd is, as you mentioned earlier, Benny, is using the road course line around this racetrack. He's trying to protect his position, not to mess up there in front, because he knows if he does goof up just a little bit, that Rusty would take advantage of it. So he's trying to keep that car as smooth as he possibly can.
Rudd won the last time they were on a road course, these Winston Cup cars, at Watkins Glen, but Rusty Wallace before that won 3 road course races in a row, 2 at Riverside and the previous one at Watkins Glen.
Ricky Rudd was supposed to be one of the top cars on the circuit this year. It's not happened so far, but today he's up front. Just another lap and a half. He has the win, but he has Rusty Wallace right on his bumper. And Rusty Wallace has a chance to pick up probably $125,000 worth of victory here today.
Look at Rusty just driving the wheels off of that car.
Let me tell you something. Ricky Rudd won. The crew, the Rudd crew, waiting for him to come back. Who's going to be in front?
Here they come through corner number 11 once again.
Rusty ready to take
Wallace trying the outside line again. It's not going to work. Ricky holds on to the lead. The white flag is going to come out, and we've got 1 more lap to go at Sears Point. Ricky Rudd is the leader. Rusty Wallace is running in 2nd spot. The final time they go through corner number 1. Rusty Wallace trying to take over the lead and win $76,000 in addition to the purse prize money. Now closing in very tightly on Rudd into turn number 3, turn number 4. Rudd holds off the challenge of Rusty Wallace. They come down and enter the carousel for the final time. And Rudd still has command of this race.
He's withstanding that pressure very, very well. He's still driving his own race out there.
I can't hardly believe as high as the emotions is right now, Ricky Rudd doesn't appear to have slipped 1 time. Now here's the corner that Rusty Wallace has been able to gain. Can he this time?
Well, he did going in, but he slid. He went in there so hard, he slid a little bit, but I believe he did pick up maybe a little bit. But Rudd has been doing pretty well through the S's from here on back to turn 11, but Rusty has really been going into turn 11.
Let's see how things shake out here as they're nearing the checkered flag. They move through the S's. Turn number 9 now. Continuing uphill through corner number 10. They'll enter a short straightaway here and then hard braking for corner 11. If Rusty's going to do it, he's going to have to do it here. I don't think he's even going to make a challenge. Well, he smokes the tires, gets sideways in corner number 11, and it appears as if Ricky Rudd is going to win the Banquet Frozen Foods 300. He waves the hand, he crosses the line, and Rudd wins with Wallace right behind him.
Well, you can see deserved it. He drove his heart out.
Yes, he did. Ricky Rudd really performed to perfection this afternoon at Sears Point International. And now Rusty Wallace pulls alongside, and they both wave to each other and say, nice job. Clean racing, no question about that here today. Just a lot of sportsmanship and good, clean competition shown among all the competitors.
Well, Rudd had to do some good hard driving when Rusty got up beside him up there, but he did, Benny, what I think he had to do. Well, he had to force him right off the racetrack.
Well, if he gave Wallace that position starting in the S's, Rusty Wallace was going to pass him, and away goes the victory.
Let's go to Jackaroo, who's with Ricky's wife.
And we stopped Linda before she makes her way to victory lane. Congratulations. That was a heart stopper.
Oh, it was. My heart was in my throat. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I'm so glad Ricky pulled it off. The team really needed it.
He's getting to be a real expert on these road courses. First Watkins Glen last year, and now this year they turned the season around with the win here in Sonoma.
Yeah, I think they will. Thank you.
Well, we're going to let her go off to victory lane and throw it back up to you guys.
All right, thank you very much. It's Ricky's 10th Winston Cup career win, and his best finish of the year, needless to say. His previous best finish was a 4th at Richmond. Now, here's a replay of the incident in turn number 7.
And we saw some passes early here. This is not just an everyday pull-up alongside the guy. We did see some cars pass, and they go through this corner absolutely side by side. Rusty Wallace has the advantage right now, but he runs out of racetrack. Ooh, in the dirt. And I tell you what, last year at Watkins Glen, that's exactly what we saw, the same thing.
Well, when Ricky came off of there, he was in the groove that he'd been using all day long. When you shoot off of that turn, you go to the outside of that racetrack, and Rusty was out there that time, and no racetrack.
Tell you what, the fans are just applauding because they love it.
It was a great race here at Sonoma, California at Sears Point International Raceway. We'll be right back. Emerges from his race car victorious in the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 here at Sears Point. And our Winner's Circle interview is being brought to you by the Die Hard Battery. Now with more power when you need it most. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, Ricky getting a big hug from wife Linda and sister Carolyn. Ricky, superb job of driving, my friend, those last few laps. Outstanding effort.
Well, I tell you, Rusty does a heck of a good job on the road course. Mark Martin drove an excellent race. I know they had some trouble, but I knew Rusty was going to give me a fit. He wore my back bumper out at Watkins Glen, and I knew it was coming. I knew where it was coming. I didn't expect him to drive around me on the outside. He had a little bit better brakes, and I didn't expect him to be on the outside of me. But all of a sudden, I looked up, and there he was. I wasn't quite expecting that. I thought he was going to give me a shot getting into the corner, and he did. He drove around the outside, and I kind of used up all the racetrack, and he found the dirt, and we found victory lane, I guess.
Outstanding effort. You drove about the last third of the race on the same set of tires. Everybody kept waiting for these tires to go away, and so did Ricky Rudd, but it didn't happen.
Well, I just really paced myself. Beginning of the race, Rusty and Mark run pretty quick. They jumped out there for a little bit, and I watched Rusty. He was running his car a lot harder than I wanted to run because I figured it's possible we go green a long way, and I didn't want to wear my tires down. And sure enough, Rusty came back to me, and Mark also. Mark run a real smooth race, but I don't know. It was just a fun day.
Now, you did the Bonder at school. Did that help you a little bit today?
Well, I went through it in '81, and then I came back again the other day. I had a good instructor. Matter of fact, we raced against him, Bill Cooper, out here at the Bondurant School. We come here and run about a day on this course, just learning the racetrack. Kenny Schrader, Jeff Badine, and myself came through the school and just really learned the racetrack. And Bill Cooper showed me some really good points about things to look out for, things to do, things not to do, and it paid off. I just really let the racetrack come to me.
Well, 100 starts ago, Kenny Bernstein got into Winston Cup racing. Today was the anniversary of the 100 start for the Quaker State Buick team. And I know Kenny Bernstein, watching in Columbus, Ohio, where he is drag racing today, has got to be smiling.
Well, let me just say that this wasn't no means by myself. I didn't do this thing today. Larry McReynolds, Bob Riley, Lou LaRosa engine. These guys worked really hard on this Quaker State Buick to get it to come out here and run really good. And I can't say enough about the job the crew done all day. Played a good, smart deal in the pits. Had one close call with Jeff Bodine, and I tagged each other in the pits. Worried me a little bit, but these guys worked really hard. They've worked a lot of hours, and my hats off to those guys in the shop back home in North Carolina. Couldn't make it.
Career win number 10 for Ricky Rudd, and it comes on the inaugural NASCAR visit here to Sears Point. Bob?
And it's Kenny Bernstein's second Winston Cup win. Now, here is the incident that Ricky just mentioned there. It occurred when he was pulling out and Jeff Bodine was pulling into the pits from our crew cam.
And Rudd had only taken on gas, and Bodine was coming into the pits, and they touched.
And it could have knocked out the right front corner of Rudd's car, but it didn't.
It is fortunate. And I tell you what, some of those guys are fortunate they didn't get hit because, as we can tell from the crew camera, it was very, very close there.
Well, Rusty Wallace put up a brilliant fight for second position, and we will be back to talk with him in just a moment when we return to Sears Point.
Used to finishing second to Ricky Rudd. You did it in Watkins Glen, but with 3 laps to go, you went up in the keyhole area of this racetrack, and it looked like you were going to make your move.
Well, I got alongside him and just kind of ran out of room. You know, he drove a good race. I really got to congratulate him for what he done. He just did. That was a lot of close racing. That's the way I like to do it. If it takes a little paint swap and try to win the race.
What went through your mind when you were going up through there and trying to make that move for the lead, though?
Well, I knew where I had to pass him at. I knew that going in that last turn was the spot that I had to get it done because he was the weakest there. He knew he was the weakest. We were listening to him on the scanners, and he was saying, you know, I know he's going to get me here. So I went to the outside, and I got clear alongside him, but we just ran out of room. I got in the grass, and he got on the track, and everything was good. And like I said, I'd like to congratulate him. I thought he did an excellent job, and it was the most fun race I think I've run in a long time.
Yeah, talking about that, now that the jury is in, give us a verdict on this race at Sears Point.
It's a good track. It's a great track. You know, I get around the Watkins Glen and the Riverside track a little bit better. I chose the shock absorber for the rear. That was a lot softer than I really wanted, and that let my body really roll in the back, and that wasn't real good because I was pushing in the very number 12 turn before the start-finish line, but it really made me work good in the very last turn. So I like the track. Just like to congratulate Ricky on a great run and all the competitors. It was fun.
Well, you can be sure that this guy will be back next time looking to finish first.
Well, he has a tremendous record on road courses, and so, for that matter, does Ricky Rudd. Well, we'll be back here to Sears Point with a wrap-up of this race here this afternoon that has been won by Ricky Rudd. Sonoma, California, Sears Point International Raceway, as the event here, the Winston Cup race, has been concluded, won by Ricky Rudd. Second place finisher Rusty Wallace, and third place Bill Elliott. This is what they call the Valley of the Moon, very appropriate. Jerry Punch is with our third place finisher.
Well, defending champion Bill Elliott. And Bill, you had a pretty good run today, coming home in third in the Coors Ford, and it was a pretty uneventful afternoon as far as you were concerned, but you saw a lot of close activity out there.
Well, you know, the thing of it is, the most exciting part was the restarts, and one time after that last restart, I was trying to get by that 09 lap car over in turn 6. He got sideways, and I got sideways, and I was trying to run as hard as I could, and Earnhardt nailed me in the rear and pushed me on by. So I'm grateful for him for that, but you know, the thing of it is, the racetrack got so slick that I felt like I wasn't going anywhere, and you look up in the mirror and nobody would be coming. And it's just a hard racetrack. It's hard for these particular cars to really race on because they're so big and so heavy. But, you know, really it wasn't as bad as what I thought it'd be.
Bill Elliott, defending series champion, finishing third today. He'll make a move up in the points, not as far up as he'd like to go, but pretty good run for the youngster from Dawsonville, Georgia. Bob?
All right, thank you, Jerry. Congratulations to Bill. Well, gentlemen, what do you think about this racetrack?
I thought it was very exciting, but, you know, it shows what experience will do for you, because at the beginning of the show, Ned Jarrett picked this corner, turn 11, as a trouble spot. And there was about 25 spinouts there today at least. I picked pit road because it was a very narrow thing. And I don't think anybody spun a tire on pit road. So, Ned, my hat's off to you.
Well, I got lucky there. Plus the fact we flipped the coin to see who would go where.
Top 15 finishers. Rudd wins. Wallace second. Elliott is third. Dale Earnhardt fourth. And he now goes into the Winston Cup points lead. Lake Speed finishes fifth. 6 through 10, Joe Ruttman, Morgan Shepherd, Rick Wilson, Davey Allison, and Michael Waldrop. Then finishing in 11th position was Neil Bonnet. 12th was Harry Gant. Bobby Hillen finishes 13th. Herschel McGriff 14th, and Terry Labonte from Daytona Beach International Speedway. Thanks for joining us for Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, Jerry Punch, and Jack Arute. This is Bob Jenkins. We'll see you Thursday night.